So Brent, that was my question was around, there's a couple of things that are going to happen over the next 5 days. And you mentioned that Bitcoin must survive over the next 5 days. And I think that you're talking less about Bitcoin going to zero as much as just kind of chopping sideways here. We have the end of the first half of the year, the end of the second quarter. There's all sorts of redemptions and things that go on with funds and maybe some forced selling there. You have the liquidation risk throughout the industry. We've seen a big washout of a lot of liquidation, but doesn't mean it's over. You've got the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust decision coming up from the SEC in July. There could be some movement around that, but there's also kind of a positive story around the retail inflows because people get paid either at the end or beginning of a month. There's also people putting new capital into whether it's hedge funds or other types of funds that will go buy these assets. And then I think the one piece we've seen Arthur Hayes write a whole piece calling out the July 4th holiday having this kind of illiquidity where people can't take fiat from their bank account and put it into their crypto account to go and purchase assets if they do drop. We saw when Bitcoin went down to $17,500 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was over a 3-day weekend. There was a banking holiday that weekend. How do you kind of put together this confluence of events that's about to occur between end of Q2, beginning of a new month? You've got the banking holiday. Like, just talk through how you kind of evaluate what you expect to happen over the next 5 days.
Sure. I mean, I think you've covered it pretty much perfectly there. So essentially what you're describing is downside risk until 4th or 5th of July. And then probably it's safer to be bullish. So when I was saying if you survive, I was talking about trading from the long side, people that are using stop losses. Certainly Bitcoin will survive the next 7 days, God willing. So the way that I handle this is to scale in. So I don't think you want to try to like pin the tail on the donkey and pick like the perfect entry point. So I just want to separate two things. So I up till this point, I've mostly been talking about structural, more like investor mentality. Now I'm talking more trader mentality, which is actually more what I do, is much more, like in for 3 weeks or 3 months kind of stuff. That's generally what I do, both in crypto and in fiat or TradFi. So the way that I would handle it is that you think there's going to be downside pressure or risk of downside pressure over the next, say 7 days. So you split up your purchases over 7 days. And then once you're in, you pick a stop loss, probably like my stop loss would be below the lows at like 16.9 or something like that. And then you try to ride the rebound, which I do think July, actually, I'm pretty optimistic, like I said, for the month of July, once we get through this window. Now, the one thing, like if you want to play the second derivative game or like the third derivative game, if Arthur Hayes is talking about it and I'm talking about it, obviously other people are talking about it too. And that's also part of why I want to scale in and not just wait for the end. Like you might think that the optimal strategy would just be like buy at 4 p.m. on July 4th, once all this, once the hurricane has passed. But the problem is everyone knows about this. So the risk is actually that it's wrong, that analysis is wrong, and you miss the whole thing. And we're at 23.8 on July 5th, and you're like, oh, shoot, I missed it. So in order to avoid missing it, that's what I'm doing, is just going like, split it into 5 purchases of 20% each. And then once I have my average, I'll put my stop below the lows.